it's always, yeah, a lot of them are like that. Yeah, yeah. Whatever, if there's any good questions, those are the ones I'll ask.
Yeah, you will check it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is that screen there?
No, no, this is just for the Skype. That's different.
Ah, okay.
So, but what we like to do is, after the
Are you a diver and you maybe even take photos or videos underwater? Then this live stream is for you. Because we believe that everyone who takes images underwater is already an ocean ambassador. And to make sure that you can do your job properly and inspire people out there to care for the ocean and eventually protect it, we collected your questions beforehand on social media. And we're going to ask those questions to creative professionals from the industry. And we are sending live from the world's largest water sports show here in Düsseldorf, the boat show, which is taking place from 18th to 26th of January. You're going to find us live in Hall 11 at the Pixel World workshop stage. Make sure you follow us on social media, on the Behind the Mask Facebook page and on the Behind the Mask YouTube channel. Turn on your notifications and most importantly, ask your questions down in the comments and maybe we will even be able to pick up your question and forward your question to our guest. And one more thing, by leaving us a comment, you already have a chance to win amazing prizes. Here we are again. Mic is on, great.
Good
11:15, what is it? We already have a question? No. We have to wait with that. I'm totally unprepared because I'm not a scientist, I have no idea, but today it's about scientific image making. And we have here on the stage, really happy because they're like local guys from Germany, Flo and Philipp from Submaris. You didn't give us a prize that we can give away. Can we maybe next time have like a submarine ride on one of your
nice.
projects?
Yeah.
I could bring some algae.
So, tell us a little bit what you guys are actually doing, because scientific image making probably is completely different from like recreational or, you know, like conservational things that people do with their big cameras, and most of the time they are also like solitary guys, like an image maker or a video guy or whatever. And you are like a bunch of cool young guys, like dedicated to scientific purposes. What is it all about?
Yes, we are scientific divers. I'm an archaeologist, an underwater archaeologist. Philipp is a marine biologist. We are 5 guys all together. We met at Kiel University. We were divers before we became scientists, but at the university we found out that you can actually study a scientific subject, become a scientific diver and make a lot of money, or not, by start diving and do the job underwater. Yeah.
That sounds pretty good. This is also a little bit different because I have no clue what they're going to talk about. So basically just hand over the remote to them and they will guide us a little bit through everything. Obviously we don't have any questions beforehand. So if you have a question here, just ask for the microphone and ask it right now. And if you're a little bit too shy to do that, then you can also just watch the live stream at the same time and type your question in. It will come out, go probably one time around the world and come out here, and then we ask it right here on stage. But
Perfect.
I think we're gonna see a little bit of like an image clip about what you guys do so that we get a beforehand impression what it's actually all about. So let's watch that first.
Tauchen ist für mich mein Leben. Tatsächlich. Ich fühle mich unter Wasser wohler als an Land.
Keine Handys, keine Computer, kein Geschnacke mehr, sondern man ist dann unter Wasser und man macht seinen Job. Das ist auch eine Art von Meditation.
Wir sind Abenteurer und Wissenschaftler gleichzeitig.
Diese Bandbreite, die wir an Arbeiten anbieten, die findet man, glaube ich, so nicht in Deutschland.
Wir sind natürlich auf unserem Gebiet Profis und deshalb lieben wir die Herausforderungen und komplexe Projekte.
Zu wissen, da unten ist es schwierig zu arbeiten, das reizt mich dann eben besonders, trotzdem gute Leistungen zu machen, das heißt trotzdem wissenschaftliche Ergebnisse zu erzielen.
Um ein Team zu werden, muss man sehr, sehr lange miteinander arbeiten und man muss sich natürlich auch sehr, sehr gut verstehen.
Man muss absolutes Vertrauen haben beim Höhlentauchen, beim Wracktauchen, bei solchen aufwendigen, mit wenig Sicht durchgeführten Tauchgängen.
Das Tolle daran ist, dass dieses Verständnis nicht an der Wasseroberfläche aufhört, wenn man abtaucht, sondern es geht unter Wasser weiter. Und zwar diese nonverbale Kommunikation findet eben auf einem Niveau statt, das ich früher nicht für möglich gehalten habe.
Das war auch sicherlich einer der Hauptgründe dafür, überhaupt Submaris zu gründen.
Für mich ist der schönste Auftrag der, den man als Team zusammen erledigt.
Wenn man die richtige Ausbildung und die richtige Ausrüstung hat, dann kann man diese ganzen Risiken, die vermeintlich existieren, extrem minimieren und dann immer noch sicher da unten arbeiten.
Eine Kleinigkeit des Tauchgangs bleibt eigentlich immer in Erinnerung. Also man erlebt auf jeden Fall doch immer irgendwas Schönes unter Wasser.
Bis jetzt ist uns noch kein Projekt untergekommen, das wir nicht geschafft hätten, wenn wir es angenommen haben. Wir lösen eben auch sehr komplexe Fragestellungen oder sehr komplexe Abläufe müssen wir teilweise koordinieren. Das ist sicherlich auch so ein Alleinstellungsmerkmal von Submaris. Wir können das, wir machen das.
A lot of cool toys, cool
Very
guys,
cool
and
toys.
even a pretty good scientific purpose behind it. Tell us a little bit more about it.
Yes. Well, basically, I'm the archaeologist in the team, so I'm going to talk a little bit about underwater archaeology, which is not as famous as marine biology, but is much more cooler in a way, I think so. Because, yeah, you have to understand that we have 3 million shipwrecks all around the world in our oceans. Yeah, 3 million shipwrecks. That's a lot, and they come from Stone Age until the First World War, Second World War. So through all the ages, people went on the oceans to discover new places, you know, to make some trade, and something always happened. Otherwise, we would not find 3 million shipwrecks down there. And my job is now to go down to these shipwrecks, yeah, and find out what happened. So this is what my passion is, and this is what my job is. And we have some cool, nice ideas or techniques how we can do that. And I brought something with you so you can see it. Actually, this is a shipwreck from the Baltic Sea. It's called Mars. It's a Swedish shipwreck which sunk 1564. So it's almost 500 years old. And it's completely well preserved on the ocean in the Baltic Sea in 80 meters of water depth, so pretty deep. And of course, it's total darkness. So this is not a single picture, which you can imagine.
I was just about to ask, how did you get that visibility in 80 meters in the
No,
Baltic Sea?
The visibility in the Baltic Sea is shit, yeah, completely shit. But if you come up with some techniques, you can do this, and this is the technique. So we do a photo mosaic. So what we did here is we took 640 pictures of the shipwreck, and,
No way.
and then you have to find somebody who is willing to work 1 month on the computer to fix all the pictures together. But once you've done it, you have the whole picture of the shipwreck, how it lies down there.
How do you manage the exposure and the light in each different frame to actually like seamlessly go together?
Yeah, that's the art you have to know. What we did is we had some lines like in cave diving. So you have a level where you can stay. Then you just have the flashes, and then you just go and keep the same level all the time. And then it's flash, 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 flash.
Yeah, you just go 80
No
meters.
big deal. No big deal.
Okay, cool. Amazing. This is all. I mean, I would hang this in my living room.
Yeah, it's really great. I have to say this was done by Tomek Stachura, and he's an awesome photographer. But this is just an example how we visualize shipwrecks underwater, and this is also interesting because it made it on all the National Geographic covers and stuff because it's cool. And now people realize, wow. Underwater archaeology, shipwrecks are really interesting. They're still down there, and they tell a story. And this is what I said.
It's interesting because we talked to Alex Mustard on Saturday, and he said the coolest thing right now in underwater photography is actually the wrecks.
Yeah.
Because the technology evolves, the wrecks get more accessible and things like that. So wow, I totally see what he means.
We like them. I like them. And another thing we do is the 3D modeling. I've just shown you some photo mosaic, but we want to make it 3D. Yeah. So this is an example, some caves in Mexico, the famous cenotes. In those caves, we find a lot of archaeology as well. So deep inside the caves, we find prehistoric findings from the times when the caves were still dry. But at the entrance of the cenotes, they were sacred for the Mayas. So they put in some offerings. And we also found one cenote with 126 dead Mayas. So they were probably buried down there. And what we do now is we have the skull, one skull of the 126. And this skull is filmed or photographed from all directions we can see. Yeah. And after that, you take your images, you take your video, and we put it in the computer. We have some nice programs like Archisoft or Metashape, and we can make a 3D model. Yeah? And now we have the whole 3D model without removing the skull. So we can still study the skull, yeah, but the skull is still down there. And we have it visualized. We can take it with us. We can send it to our colleagues who know much more about Mayan skulls than I do. And we can even print it. So you can print your own Maya skull, for exhibitions, for museums and stuff like that. So
or for
nice
your keychain.
Yeah.
And what do you learn from this? What kind of information gets revealed by doing this?
Well, we can actually really see that the Mayas they had modification of the skull. They made long skulls when they were still babies. Yeah, they wrapped some scarves around it, so the skull would grow in this direction.
Okay.
We can see that the teeth were modified. They carved out their teeth because it was kind of jewelry. Yeah. We can study all this without removing the stuff out of the water. When you remove something out of the water, it's always very expensive because you have to conserve it. Yeah, you cannot take stuff out. You can do it, but then you're a bloody wreck plunderer or whatever because it's never legal. You have to get permissions to do that. And even we as archaeologists, we don't get all the time the permissions, and we don't have the money to remove everything to conserve it. So now we study it in the water, in situ, and we just take out the information.
In this case, like you collect this information, you can come to certain conclusions about what's going on. And who is using this information then afterwards? Because I think there's a link to also other...
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I will show you that on maybe on the next example I brought with you. This is a cannon from the Baltic Sea. From a Swedish shipwreck again, so it seems the Swedish always lost their shipwrecks. But this is from 1715, and again we did a 3D model. So you just go around the cannon. It took me 3 minutes, yeah, and 120 pictures in 3 minutes. Just take pictures, and then you can see you have the cannon. It's still a rough model, but you can already see it. And the good thing is you can print it now, yeah. So this is again another cannon we did earlier. It's from Mars again, but you can print it and you put it in the museum now, and people can now see it. Yeah, you can touch it, you can see it. You can print it 1-to-1 size-wise. You can print smaller ones. You can put it in a VR goggle. Yeah, so you can basically when you have this 3D information, you can put on these fancy goggles, and then you can virtually dive down into the shipwreck. Yeah, and this is also cool for schools, for school children, if you remember your history class in school,
we had 3D
it was always
all the time.
All the time.
But it was always boring, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or if you
All the time.
if you learn Latin or whatever, now you can put on your goggles, and then in the Latin class you go into the Colosseum to Rome and see how the gladiators are fighting or whatever, how the ship goes down. So it's much more intense, the feeling, and while you see that, you learn a lot more. So this technique is good for museums, for teaching, for education, and it looks good.
Okay, so you find something, and who is actually like providing a budget for you guys to do that? Because I mean, you do it one time to just experiment, but in general, I think it is a lot of effort, costs a lot of money, logistics and everything. Like, who is actually who gives the money for that?
It's always different. We get money from the government, but not too much. We get money from private persons. We got money from the dive industry, for example. We have a sponsor, Submaris, who is supporting us for over 10 years now. We have private people who just think it's cool. museums are going to support us because we can bring the models into the museums. So we're not always diving. Most of the time we are trying to get money, to raise money, and then we are writing reports, books, stuff, and this and that. So it's a lot of work, yes, but it works.
Okay. Interesting.
Super interesting.
And I need to finish because Philip wants to talk as well and about his biology. We're not making where we make these 3D models, the scientific pictures, but of course we also need very nice fancy pictures to promote our scientific work. Yeah, so this is why we are doing nice pictures like this. You know, where you can see the flesh is in the mask of me, and then this is a Maya pottery again. Because when we go to magazines like National Geographic or Geo or whatever, they want some nice pictures, of course. So also as a scientific diver, you have to be able, or you have to have some guys in the team who make nice pictures as well. For the ugly pictures, we are going to ask him now.
Okay, Philip, tell us something super beautiful about ugly pictures.
No, I start with a nice picture as well.
Oh, nice.
So this is our most beloved island in Germany. It's the island of Heligoland or Helgoland, and we work there every summer. Every July you will find us there, and we don't only do drone pictures, but it starts. Yeah. So I brought a little video to get an impression of Heligoland above and below water.
Okay.
And then afterwards I will tell you what we work on there. That's the Lange Anna. This was just a short show reel we produced.
Have you ever been to Heligoland?
Yes, of course, many times. No.
Also
unfortunately not, no. This is why I think it's very interesting, because you always think to see something amazing in relation to diving, you have to go somewhere else. I'm always super thrilled to learn actually what we have in front of our door.
Yeah, that's also our credo. So what we have on Heligoland is really, really special in Germany, because it's the only hard substrate bottom we have. Otherwise we only have sand. And here we have stones and rocks.
Wow.
How far is this place from here?
From here, well, it's if you go to Hamburg, you can take the ship, and that it will bring you in 2 or 3 hours to the island.
Not bad.
What is it, a gray seal or what is it?
That's a gray seal.
That's a gray seal.
We should be filming more in Germany.
Is there recreational diving on Heligoland?
No. But you could snorkel there easily. Yeah. It's all the nature conservation area, so a marine protected area. The only real marine protected area we have in Germany, actually.
Okay.
Because it's also illegal to fish there.
So it's not allowed to dive there for that reason?
Right. Yeah. It's only diving is only for scientific divers. One reason I did really the course in scientific diving, to become a scientific diver, to dive there, because below water I think it's even more interesting than it is above water. So this is our work there. Every July, as I said, we're there. We're not there for fun or for diving with seals, but we're there to actually monitor, so research about the algae, and especially the algae depths. So they come down to a certain depth, and that depth depends on water quality. The deeper the algae grow, the better the water quality. And over the last 12 years we have been doing that, and we already noticed a slight increase in water quality, so that algae now grow slightly around 60 centimeters deeper than they used to when we started.
What's the reason for that? Because you always hear the opposite.
You mean worse water quality?
Yeah.
Yeah, but in Germany, or also in the Baltic, in the North Sea, there have been quite some projects and also intergovernmental programs to really protect the environment. And they are now
You can see the effect now.
yeah, they are now increasing the water quality.
Cool.
So in other parts of the world, it's going worse, but in Germany or in German waters, it's going in a good direction. So we count all the algae that are there in a frame. All algae that are there. There are 300 species of algae alone on Heligoland. So I always say there are only 2 species of seals and 300 species of algae. So what is more interesting?
Definitely the seals.
He's just. So we also use the images, underwater imaging, to get good pictures, to identify the species, and also to tell other people what to look for to identify the species. You can see here just a variety of some species, but there are even more. And we all have to identify them underwater, live.
Maybe a very stupid question, but are there also corals?
No, I mean there are anemones and also octocorals. You've seen it in the video, but they are soft corals, not hard corals. No, it's too cold.
What is the water temperature there?
In summer, 18 degrees.
Oh, that's
And in winter,
not
it's
too
like
bad.
4 to 5 degrees.
So yeah, so you do all of that in a dry suit?
In a dry suit, yeah, we always dive in dry suit, yeah. And our dives are like 2 hours, so we really need a dry suit. So, for example, here you see also a frame, and these we use to count animals or individuals, algae, but also animals, like here. And you can see every square centimeter is occupied by an animal. And we use macro photography because most of the animals are really, really small. This is just like 4 centimeters high, so we need really a strong macro photography. But not only, this is a wide angle shot, and you have seen it before, these are the gray seals. And what I wanted to show here, this could be a cover shot for National Geographic or something, but we don't always produce cover shots. Sometimes we produce ugly shots, you called it, but not perfect pictures, like this one, where you see a lot of, reflecting particles, and it's not even really sharp, And but this picture, nevertheless, went around the world because it showed for the first time, and we took it by coincidence, and we hit the camera. So okay, just take a picture. That a gray seal, a big gray seal male, attacked a seal, a harbor seal, and ate it. So that was the first proof of that really happening in our waters. Everybody noticed these scars and or not scars, the cuts, and nobody knew what it was. And we had the photographic proof of it.
Okay, he looks not very friendly there.
No, he tried to sneak the harbor seal from us, like to tow it away, and then he left us.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, your part again.
When we're done with Heligoland, we go sometimes back where I grew up. This is the famous Walchensee. You probably know this. In south of Munich, 60 kilometers south of Munich. And it's one of my beloved seas because I grew up there, and there's a lot of history and stuff down there. And a couple of years ago, we had a very interesting job to do there because the lake is connected via a tunnel. You can see the tunnel here. The tunnel who goes directly through the mountain and goes to the next lake, which is called Kochel Lake. And this is a power plant station. Is that right? Power plant station?
Hydropower plant.
Hydropower plant station. Yeah.
The tunnel is a power plant.
Huh?
No, it leads to a power plant.
It leads,
okay.
yeah.
And it's over 100 years old,
Yeah,
right?
it's over 100 years old. So the water from the Walchensee goes through a tunnel, which is 1.2 kilometers long. And then it falls down, makes the turbines going, and then this is how they produce their electricity. And it was built already 100 years ago. And this tunnel has to be visualized or inspected every 10 years. And the last year, they always sent in some ROVs or whatever, and they were never happy with the results. So a couple of years ago...
They used robots.
Yeah, robots.
On
yeah.
a wire.
On a wire, yeah, because
go in there.
they did not find commercial divers who are cave divers, yeah. But as a commercial diver, you go down, you do whatever, but you're not working in cave.
And you need a
obviously.
rope.
Yeah, and the roughs were shit because the light was not good enough. So the directors of this power plant station were never happy, and they wanted to know how good is the condition of this 100-year-old tunnel, yeah. So they came up to us and said, "Hey, can you do something? You're cave divers, and you work together with the Geomar, and they own this Yago, which is a scientific diving U-boat or submersible." Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And so we did a cooperation with the submersible and our dive team. And what we did, first of all, we went through this tunnel, 1.2 kilometers, and we laid a line, yeah, like in cave diving, yeah. And every 10 meters we put a cookie in
100.
with the 100 meters, yeah, with the how far you're already in, because afterwards, yeah, the submersible, the Yago, went in with an inspector. We will see this, and they checked how the condition is. So we had to do the work first, you know, dive through, see if everything is okay, lay the line, and then the U-boat was coming. So we had to bring the U-boat into the lake and then into the entrance of the tunnel.
What is the diameter? The diameter of the tunnel? Like this looks like a real man-built tunnel. Is that a man-built tunnel?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a man-made.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like a pipe.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
It's
it's
just one direction.
Yeah, and it's 5 meters wide, and the U-boat has 2.2 meters, so it's quite nice. Fits in the tunnel. But in the beginning there's a lock, and this lock is at 2.2 meters of width, and the submersible didn't fit, so we had to put a what is it? Wagenheber, a jack. A car jack, right?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, okay, but I
we had to
understand.
use it, so we could push it through the tunnel, yeah, the entrance.
we put it through the tunnel, and here you can see those there's the line, yeah. So they knew where they are and how deep they are already in the tunnel. And then in the U-boat there's two people. There's Jürgen, who is the pilot, and then in front there's the engineer who did the inspection, and he could see the tunnel and see if there's some scars in the tunnel or if some stuff is falling out or whatever. This is what they wanted to know.
And
so
how is
they
the condition?
Perfect.
How is the condition of
I
the
mean,
tunnel?
this is 100 years old, and it's still very good. So they were really happy.
German engineering.
Yeah, it is
100 years ago.
Smile.
It is German engineering. Yeah, true. And here you can see one of these reference cookies, and this is how they worked their way through. It took them about 3 hours to dive through the tunnel to see everything. This guy here was, just doing his job. His inspection was the first time for him to sit in a U-boat and then going through this spectacular tunnel. And we also mounted like 6 GoPros on top of the U-boat, and the GoPros took every 2 seconds a picture in all directions. So afterwards, we have thousands of pictures of the condition of this tunnel, which is good for afterwards you can still see. I don't want to be the guy who's checking. I don't know how many pictures these are, 100,000, whatever. But they have the information now how the condition of the tunnel is. So this was basically.
And that is a commercial project.
This was a commercial project. This is what we do as a scientific diving company. We're not only doing biology or archaeology, but there's also this kind of job. So they come and say, hey, can you do this? Then we do like a normal job. We give an offer. We do our accident analysis, how we can do this. We say it's going to be super expensive. They say no. We say, okay, then it's going to be expensive, so you meet somewhere in the middle, you get your money, and then you do the job. And afterwards, this is where the tunnel ends. It's called Wasserschloss in German, and from here the water falls down 200 meters into the turbine. So of course this was stopped when we came out, because we would not like to be sucked down 200 meters into the turbines. So they had to shut off the whole.
So this is the cathedral in the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, it looks like the end scene of a James Bond movie. I think it
must be an amazing feeling if you're there
really
3 hours in darkness to that thing, and then you come out here, and then you realize, cool, now we have to go back because we can't exit here, right?
No, there are only small doors, so the U-boat cannot go out.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So this I just wanted to show, so you can see the variety of scientific diving. Yeah, we're not as I said, it's not only taking pictures or videos, biology, archaeology. We have a whole bunch of jobs to do, and this makes it really interesting and very good. So every day we wake up and say, okay, we have a good job. We love it.
Super cool. If there's any questions, guys, go ahead and ask it. Hamdan, if you have anything online, no worries. But you can also ask your questions later. The guys will stay online and answer everything. Really amazing.
So this is one of my nicest pictures I took the last years.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I'm not a photographer. I'm a marine biologist. But what is interesting about this picture, or also this one, are,
I like that one. That's good.
they were taken by a tow camera. We tow a camera behind our boat. It's just a GoPro 3, so an old version, but it has a live image to the boat. So we have to use it.
So you can see actually what's going on while
because
you
we have
tow
to steer the camera, because if there's a rock coming, we have to pull and then it flies over the rock.
Let's explain the concept of a tow camera.
Yeah.
It's basically a line with a camera in the end, and you drag it behind the boat.
You have it either by hand or by winch, and you steer it by hand. Ours is quite small. It's like this size, and it has a GoPro on it and lasers for distance measuring, and also a light. So that's all.
But there's no steering or anything?
It points a little bit forward. So what I use it for normally is I map eelgrass or seagrass in the Baltic Sea, and also algae or blue mussel. But I came across these pictures, and there were 100 of them.
100 dead fish?
Yes, 100 of those. And they look more or less like this.
100 pictures or 100 dead fish?
100 dead fish. So, and I wondered how they are all cod. It's all cod, Baltic cod. And I measured them because I have here the lasers, as I said, the two lasers, and they are 25 centimeters apart. And so I measured the ones I could, the cod, and I realized most of them were 30 to 35 centimeters in size. And what is interesting about it is that you have, since 2015, you have a landing obligation for cod in the Baltic Sea. So fishers who target this species with nets, they have to land also undersized cod. And the undersized cods are under 38 centimeters. All I measured were under 38 centimeters. So I realized I'm after something really...
Something fishy going on.
Yeah, something fishy going on. And the fishy thing was that fishermen obviously discard illegally the Baltic cod, and of course they are dead, as you can see. So they will not produce any offspring, and they are just lost. And I thought, okay, I just found 100. So how big is the problem? But if you map them, and this is a map of our Baltic Sea from Flensburg with Kiel in the middle, and then down to Lübeck to Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, you can see there's a certain a muster, a pattern. There's a pattern, and the pattern is there are nearly no in the Baltic, in the Kiel Bay, which runs from Fehmarn to Flensburg, but everything is concentrated on the Mecklenburg Bight area or Lübeck Bight area, which means that these are only a few fishermen that behave not good or illegal, and they sit in the Mecklenburg Bight area. And we are just preparing a publication with that topic.
And what is the reason that they have to take it out? When they throw it back, does that change anything in the environment?
If you throw back fish, and so what a landing obligation wants to reach is that you bring back the dead cod, the undersized. They are counted against your quota, and then you care about the environment, and you say, as a fisherman, you say, okay, I need to buy bigger nets, bigger net mesh wide, so that I don't catch that much of those undersized that I cannot market in the market, and then I will only catch the bigger fish.
So the guy's been killing more fish than they were supposed to be,
of course,
and just throwing it.
And it's a totally, completely wrong picture you get about the landing mass of cod, you know.
Okay.
So all the numbers are wrong then.
Okay. And obviously
it's a
you
big
can,
problem.
You, like, if everything goes right, then you can trigger an effect by, you know, like having kind of, I don't know, different control mechanisms in place.
Yeah,
or
I will
whatever.
publish it, and then I will see what happens.
Probably
afterwards.
some
And
angry calls from the fishermen.
A few angry calls.
No,
yeah.
I think rather from the ministry, and they want to maybe research it further then. That was just a side project, because in reality I wanted to also, not a nice picture, but it's also from a screenshot from the GoPro, and you can see what I'm really after is seagrass and blue mussels, and these I want to map. And with these pictures of the tow camera, I can then produce maps like those, also the Baltic Sea, and you can see here the probability to find seagrass in a certain place after that data from the tow camera.
What's so sexy about seagrass?
Seagrass is, don't get me going. It's like the most important coastal habitat you have on Earth. You forget all about what you know about coral reefs.
Mangroves.
The most important stuff are seagrass meadows. And I'm not joking. Just one thing, if there wouldn't be seagrass meadows, all the coral reefs would die, because they provide the oxygen that coral reefs also need, and also they take out bacteria and nutrients and pollutants from the sea, so that the coral reefs can thrive. So if there is no seagrass meadow before in front of a fringe reef, then normally those coral reefs die.
Okay. And are they in danger?
Yes, worldwide, seagrass meadows are going down, of course, of human activity. Also, temperature rise is a problem, but most importantly, runoff from agriculture is the main problem.
Okay.
And sometimes we have nice pictures like that. And that is a ghost net. We discovered also accidentally. And of course, you can also map with that tow camera ghost nets. And at the moment, we are here with WWF, which is just around the corner. And they have also that topic on the agenda at the moment, ghost nets. And they produced a really nice app where divers or fishermen can put in their found net, and I did it with my positions, and then afterwards they can be retrieved by professional divers.
Oh, nice.
So, okay.
Are you taking interns?
Are we taking interns? That's
No.
That's actually some of the questions.
Yeah,
on the
probably.
live
We get
stream.
this really often from marine biology students and archaeology students or whatever. We try to do that, but again, we are in Germany, so it has to do something with insurance. Yeah, normally if we dive, you have to be a scientific diver or a commercial diver. So because of insurance reasons, and then again, we are working not like every day from 8 to 5, so it's really hard to say, okay, come in June, because it could happen that in June we don't have a job. So we work very irregularly. That's just the way it is. So it's really hard. We're working on it because we see that people would like to come to learn and go with us. So we're working on it, how we can do this with insurance and stuff. But at the moment, unfortunately, it's not possible.
How did you guys get into that, like one by one? Philip, how did it start for
I
yourself?
started diving when I was a little kid. My father started with me like when I was 6 years old. And so I was a diver before I became a marine biologist, but I always wanted to do it. Jacques Cousteau was my idol, and then I did it, became a marine biologist. And then I realized I cannot dive as a marine biologist if you're not a scientific diver, not in Germany. So you need that special certification, which takes roughly 8 weeks to get. Although I was already a dive instructor. So.
Oh, okay. Flo, how did it start off in the beginning?
I started with 13 with my first open water experience in Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. So warm water and stuff like that. So I really liked it. And I found out that history was boring for me in school, but I didn't like school at all. But I made it through, and further on, I realized that history and archaeology can be really, really interesting. And I started to study archaeology in Munich, and then I went to Sweden, and from Sweden I went to Kiel, where I met Philip and the other guys. And there I found out that you can do underwater archaeology and scientific diving. So I took the course.
It's like archaeology is just like the normal way
Yeah,
you study,
exactly.
and then you
in
get
Germany,
specialized. later on.
Exactly, yeah. In Germany, you study archaeology and then you specialize by becoming a scientific diver and start working on projects. But there are other countries in Europe, like Denmark or in Sweden or England. There you can do a master program in maritime archaeology. So, but in Germany, we don't have that, but you can specialize, yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Very interesting.
Hamdan.
No, I'm actually very impressed with the live stream. People are very interested in this topic, and it's very different from the other topics that we've talked about. So in terms of the questions, I have maybe one for each of you. So at the beginning of the presentation, you were showing how you mapped using photos, the 3D mapping, and then the uses for that are endless. You can show it in schools, museums, and everything. But what was really interesting is people were asking how they can get involved. In terms of the technology that you use to map it, is there a situation where we call it open sourcing, where people with their setups can take these photos and then send it to you?
Obviously, I don't have the time to develop those pictures. But what I do is I give courses in underwater archaeology or maritime archaeology. It's a 3-day course, and then I have a 5-day course. And I show people how to do this. So basically, you can come with a GoPro. You need a GoPro, and then you can already start. You can model whatever. You know, what lies down there, and you just model. And I show them how to do it. You have a program which is called Metashape or Agisoft. You can download it. Costs about $100, so it's not super expensive, or maybe 120. So and you probably find tutorials. But again, 3D modeling is a very new technique. We started in Kiel like 10 years ago, and now it spreads around. You can see it like the Global Underwater Explorers, GOE, are using it very intense because they did a lot of work in the Mars project. And so it's getting more and more popular. Right. I think the best would be check out for some courses. I mean, if you're sitting somewhere in the Philippines, you probably don't come to me to Germany, but you can. You're invited. Come and I can show you. Okay, but then just to expand on that, how do we sign up for your course? Best thing is always get in contact with me on Instagram or Facebook, and I post everything there, and then I know somebody who's sitting in the US or wherever, which I can recommend and say, go to this guy or go to that guy. So awesome, perfect. That's very cool. And Philip, in terms of, you touched on it regarding the scientific diving courses, you just mentioned it briefly in terms of the duration, but people are actually asking how they can get involved. So people that want an occupation in the diving industry, maybe they didn't realize scientific diving is an occupation that they could go into. So could you tell us a little bit more about how you sign up, what is required from you? Yeah, I mean, so when we talk about scientific diving, we are talking about the German scientific diving course. That is quite different from elsewhere in the world. So in the US, for example, it's based on the buddy system, and it's even a PADI scientific dive course. You know, so you can get involved or doing scientific diving more easily. But in Germany, we have a history of insurance and stuff like that, and we are making things thoroughly, and we have this special European, it's called now European Scientific Diver. It's also acknowledged in some other countries, for example in Italy and Sweden, right? And it takes roughly 4 to 8 weeks, depending on your experience. And normally you have to be a student of something that has something to do with the ocean or with underwater, also limnology, for example, working in lakes. So typically they are geologists, archaeologists, biologists, what else? Also sometimes engineers, and also people from film industry also. Because if you want to work as a filmmaker underwater in Germany for the big programs like ZDF, you know, first and second German television, or something like that, you have to be a scientific diver as well. If you're not a freelancer.
When is the next time that you guys be on television?
We're shooting a new archaeology documentary this year. We're going to start at the Viking Sea at the end of February, and then we go to the Great Lakes in America and some other cool stuff. And I don't know when it will be on air, probably end of the year or next year. But we're happy if you follow us on Facebook or Submaris. We're posting all the stuff we're doing, and
Great. Really awesome what you guys are doing. I like the young spirit and the field. Super interesting. Thanks for being here.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Great. And you guys will be in the live stream later on answering the comments.
We haven't asked the most important question. can we borrow that submarine just for like a day or two?
I think it's very expensive, and even we don't get it when we want. So.
Good.
Thank
Where's
you.
Sonia? Is Alex coming? Okay, because then we have the wrong slide to manage everything. We have the next live stream at 2 o'clock. We talk about 5 master tips to master macro photography with Alex Tattersall. After that, 3:30, we have Andy Casagrande for shark conservation filmmaking, another dream job. Yes, 3:30. Don't miss this one. And we take a break. This is basically the middle. In German, we say Bergfest. Now we are in the middle of the whole live streams that we do. From now, it's going to be easy because it's only going to be downhill. So that we end up on a very fantastic weekend with a lot of visitors and a big audience. It's going to be amazing. Okay, cool. Thanks, guys, again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is for you guys. And
Thank you very much.
see you later.
Thanks a lot, man. That was very interesting.